Sports scientist Jilly is the sporty outdoor type.
Sport has been my life for years, ever since the age of about 12 or 13.
She even qualified for the British canoeing team.
It's a way of being free, actually. I couldn't be without being in a boat.
You might think Jilly's love for the outdoors would be good for her health. In fact, it nearly killed her when, in a terrifying mountain tumble, she broke her neck.
I'd say she was one of the luckiest people I'd ever seen.
Walking with a friend in the sandier mountains of New Mexico, USA, all Jilly wanted was to watch the famous sunset from the high mountain ridge.
It would be really nice to go for a walk, spend the day outside because it's nice warm weather. I'm in shorts and actually in a swimsuit, believe it or not.
It just wasn't their lucky day, and they soon lost the trail.
Can be very treacherous. There's cliffs everywhere. It's very steep. It's very rugged. It's not something that you would take your grandmother on, for sure. It's dangerous.
With each footstep, I think we put ourselves into a worse and worse position.
Completely lost, blundering through the wilderness, they were exhausted and panic set in.
I think it was beyond panic, actually, to be honest. Either in floods of tears or I was just sort of trying to kind of calm myself down and sort of talk to myself.
In desperation, they'd started to climb across the face of the mountain looking for a way down.
I was very much out of my depth and we'd started sort of climbing, and I'm not a climber.
Now very weak, Jilly came to the horrific realisation that for her, there was only one way off the mountain.
I knew I couldn't hold on for much longer, and so I called out to my friend and said, "Look, I'm sorry, I can't hold on." And then I let go.
Jilly fell 60 feet down the sheer cliff face, smashing against the rock.
Hit the floor on my back and kind of rolled and then sort of tossed into the air.
When people fall straight down 20 feet, that's when terrible damage occurs to the human body. Broken arms, broken legs, broken back. 20 feet is about the limit, and she fell 3 times that far.
The impact was like a major car crash. Then, Jilly tumbled on another 140 feet, strike after strike, crash after crash.
On the 6th sort of time I hit the ground, I just stopped. Everything was just quiet.
The miracle was, she was alive.
I sort of started moving my right hand up to my hairline, and it felt quite sticky, and I realised I was actually touching my skull. I slightly moved my right leg, and a big sort of shooting pain went up there, a huge amount of pain that you can't even describe.
X-rays revealed that Jilly's agony was caused by a broken pelvis.
The pelvis is a tremendously difficult bone to break. You usually see this with car collisions at great speed. I mean, she must have hit something pretty hard and pretty fast to break that pelvis.
In a bone-breaking smash like this, the biggest fear is the soft internal organs crashing against the skeleton and tearing open.
The liver, the spleen, the kidneys, any of these could have ruptured. You can rip your aorta and just bleed to death. It's just by sheer luck that this didn't happen to Jilly.
Jilly seems blessed with a bizarre kind of good luck.
It was remarkable. She had no internal injuries, absolutely nothing.
As the light faded, her friend went for help. The sunset Jilly so wanted to watch was now a terrifying prospect. The cold, dark night bit into her broken bones.
It was getting much colder, and I was just starting to shiver a hell of a lot. It was really, really eerily quiet, and all I could hear was the rustling of the wind.
Jilly didn't know whether help would ever come. Her luck, it seems, was running out. 5 search teams had been hunting all night, but it wasn't until nearly dawn that Jilly was spotted.
And then the next thing I knew, I was in the hospital. I was going through these double doors, and then there was hundreds of doctors around me.
Jilly's smashed pelvis turned out to be not the only broken bone. During the fall, she had also broken her neck.
The neck is comprised of 7 bones all stacked on top of one another, with the spinal cord running right through the middle. When subjected to severe force, a number of things can happen, one of which is called a jump facet. One of the bones jumps out of place. If the spinal cord goes with that, you can wind up with a severed spinal cord and be completely paralyzed.
Before the operation, the surgeon wasn't sure if Jilly's luck had finally run out. During hours of complex surgery, it was touch and go whether she would be paralysed from the chest down.
In Jilly's case, the bones had jumped out, and yet the spinal cord appeared to be unaffected.
When I woke up from the operation, the first thing I did was I opened my eyes and I was like, I made it. I made it.
Jilly escaped paralysis in another lucky break.
Falling off a mountain is a very unlucky thing. Spending a night up on the mountain after you've fallen from a great height is a very unlucky thing. But I think in Jilly's case, the more we looked and the harder we looked, the more amazed we were how lucky this woman really was.
In some bizarre way, Jilly's glad she nearly died out there. Without the experience, she wouldn't be successful as an international canoeist and university sports scientist.
There are some things about the accident I think are definitely bad, but there is so much sort of good that's come out of it. I'm a lot more determined from what I was, and I want to do things, and I want to see the world, and there's too many things I've still got to do.
By our count, brave Brian's had to endure 32 punctures and piercings this evening.
It's not shifting, is it?
Come on, Jack, eating some of the wood.
It's still trapped. So it's time